Hello, welcome back to Big Fellas. My name is Mark.
And I'm Darren.
And how's your week been, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, busy.
Yeah, same here. It's non-stop, isn't it? So,
it is. But I am very excited because today we have a guest coming onto the podcast.
Oh, who have we got today?
So today we've got Judith, and mate, I've known Judith for a long time. I first met her when I joined the police. She was like a PT and a physio there.
Yeah,
I've gone to her with numerous back issues when I've tried to get fit in the past. And I tell you, mate, she's fixed me up really well. She definitely knows her stuff. So I asked her to come onto the podcast today to talk about how walking can just help you being more active, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. Okay, let's get on with it.
Welcome back to Big Fella's Weight Loss Podcast. So today we have Judith. Hello, Judith.
Hello, thanks for having me in, guys.
So Judith, we'll go on to lots of interesting stuff we've got planned to talk about, but at the moment, just give yourself an introduction and tell everyone who's listening what you do.
Well, I'm Judith Barrass, and for many, many years now, I have been a fitness instructor, qualified many years ago, exercise to music, and then did another exam every 18 months, 2 years after that, till I ran out of fitness qualifications. So then went into therapy, became a sports therapist, and again kept learning, doing loads of courses, CPD, and carry on learning and doing courses. And then more recently, I've become a radio presenter for Huntingdon Community Radio, and I am their wellness consultant because I started off much the same as we're doing now. I was guesting and doing wellness presentations for them. And then they asked me to become a regular presenter. So I do that now. And of course, I also do stand-up comedy and run Doobie-Doo's comedy club. So a bit of a portfolio lifestyle. And my hashtag is Eat, Move, Laugh, Heal. It used to be Eat, Move, Heal. And then when I started to do the comedy and learning more about the connection between the brain and the gut and the whole body, then and laughter is the best medicine. So eat, move, laugh, heal.
I like it.
I love that.
Yeah, great message.
I met you, Judith, many years ago now. Although it doesn't feel like it, does it? But yeah, I was, as we covered on one of my previous episodes, I was a police officer for 15 years. So it would have been about 16 years ago now that we first met. And I remember having to do fitness tests, and Judith would come in with another guy at the time and beast us into making sure we did it. And I remember we had to get to a certain level, but then there was Judith's level.
Okay.
Well, because if I was a police officer out on the beat, I would want the best supporting me. And, just for your own health. And because shift work and everything that you had to do, I wanted you to be the fittest that you possibly could be so that you could stand the strain of being a police officer. And back when we first met, the level for the police was quite high. They dropped it then. And I like to stick to the old, or just get people to run as much as they could that day. And it's a sense of achievement, isn't it?
Absolutely.
We need our police to be fit, though, don't we?
Well, you would hope, yeah. They've got a lot to do. So the fitter they are, the more capable they are of dealing with it all.
Like you say, a full portfolio around health and well-being. I think we're health fitness, and so thanks for coming on. Definitely. That's
all right. Thanks for having me, and hopefully you're still keeping fit, are you?
Yeah. Well, trying to. It's a constant battle, but that's what the podcast is about.
Well, I'm glad you decided to get fit, not buy a motorbike, because that's often what men do around that age, isn't it? Bit of a midlife crisis. Yeah. Let's buy a sports car or a motorbike. Yes. I'm glad you chose to get fitter.
Thank you.
You say that, though, but we both did. I mean, I've bought a nice car fairly recently.
It's all coming out now.
Yeah. There has been wastes of money, but I think
I've got fit first. That was the difference.
Good.
I suppose for those listening who are, like we say, getting to that age, mid-30s to mid-50s, that sort of age, and they're really starting to think about, I've got quite a few pounds or stone or more even that they want to shift. What's the best advice that you think you could give someone?
Best advice: stop eating junk. Start eating things that have only got 1, 2, 3 ingredients in them. If you can, possibly you've made it yourself, so you know what's in it. And one of the main things, which you're not going to like, stop drinking alcohol, because that can make a major difference, especially to men of your age, for that weight loss process. You could handle it, when you're in your 20s and 30s, but as you're getting older, it is harder to metabolize that alcohol. And that is really what is massively slowing down a lot of people's weight loss. For 72 hours after drinking alcohol, there might be a bit of a leeway in there, but in the main, scientists have shown that you can't fat burn for 72 hours after drinking alcohol. So that's the biggest thing. Bin the alcohol and drink. No, not drink, eat. Eat more fluid, because then you'll get the fluid that you need to help to burn the fat, to lose the weight, and your whole system can start to function as it should, so then it can look after itself. It's not busy, trying to push a boulder uphill, trying to work itself out when it's too busy trying to get rid of all the processed food and alcohol. And that is what's holding a lot of people back. And, you can go off and join a fancy weight loss club, but in the main, if you just look at what you are eating and where it's coming from and drinking, just make a few changes, it can make such a big difference. And I hate to say this. Well, I don't hate to say this. This is truth. It is so much easier for men of your age to lose weight than women. If I was sat here with 2 women of your age, it is still give up alcohol. Prosecco is a downhill spiral. Self-medicating with Prosecco is so bad. But just with a few changes, you guys can make a big difference. Just those few changes, that would be my first tip. And then, when you start to feel better, when you start to feel you can, then you can maybe add in exercise of some type. But you cannot outrun your knife and fork. It's an abs, all these memes, abs are made in the kitchen, not in the gym.
Cannot outrun your knife and fork. I like that.
Yeah, you can't.
That's my takeaway already.
Yeah. Well, the other one is stop digging your own grave with your knife and fork, because all of these processed foods, this is what, if you look historically, look back in time, were all these people getting diabetes? Did everybody have Alzheimer's? I appreciate that we are living longer, but what is the difference? What are we doing different? And it's the way we eat. Yeah. That is, there's pollutions that we're breathing in, and we appreciate that. But there are so many pollutions that you are putting in your mouth with your knife and fork. So try your best. And I appreciate with shift work, if you're a police officer or other shift, it is difficult. So it might just need a bit of prior planning. And at first that seems hard work, because your brain is in a state where it's fuddled with all these chemicals. So you don't feel like doing a bit of prior planning or a bit of shopping down the food and veg aisle. You don't feel like it. But if you take that first step, the more you do it, the easier it gets, because it becomes a way of life, and your brain feels so much better. That's how I do weight loss. When people come to me for a weight loss program, I start with the brain. You feed your brain, and then it's not so much hard work. If your brain's in the wrong place, you see a piece of cake, you'll stuff it in your mouth. You'll see biscuits, whereas if your brain is functioning better, you're more likely to say, well, I don't really need that biscuit. I don't need that biscuit to feel better, because I already feel, I'm all right. I can last till lunchtime when I'm going to have, something healthier.
Yeah, no, I totally agree and totally get that. Something that I've done in my own research of processed foods, which is shocking really when you sit down and think about it, is the foods are almost engineered to not fill you up.
Yeah.
And to make you want more and crave more because they'll sell more.
Yeah, exactly. And then they make more money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it just becomes a vicious circle.
Yeah. And then who else is making loads of money? The pharmaceutical industry that are making the drugs for your diabetes.
Yeah.
Ooh, are they all owned by the same people?
There's a whole rabbit hole we could go down.
Yeah, we better pull ourselves back from that. Yeah. Pull yourself back.
But also, it's a really good point, isn't it? And I was thinking this earlier, is that, for the last, God knows how many thousands of years through evolution, our diet has been fairly consistent, hasn't it? It's been meat, vegetables, fruits, things that...
Yeah, and things that are in season... and things that grow around where you live. Therefore, your gut can handle it. But now we can go to Waitrose and get avocados and blueberries any time of the year. Is that what, you and I living around here? Is that how our gut is set up?
Yeah. That's a really good point. Bananas don't grow naturally in the UK, do they?
No.
From, Caribbean or places like that. So, yeah, a local diet. And do you know what? Going really off topic here, but a member of my family is a very high level climate scientist, and we were away recently, and she was saying to me, in terms of climate change, one of the best things we can do is consume local, because so much of the damage being done is through transporting products. And,
transporting these blueberries to, I better not say that supermarket again, to various supermarkets, and people have got, they're almost relying on it. And it's a treat. And that's what fruit used to be, didn't it? The fruit in season was a treat. And there's nutrients in fruit, but the vegetables that are in season that we used to eat regularly would give us all that we needed. And then we had that little treat, strawberries on a Sunday with maybe some cream on. But now we indulge ourselves too much, don't we? We indulge ourselves. We can have blueberries for breakfast, and we can, we indulge ourselves. And do we really need it?
No, I don't think we do. And this is the issue, isn't it? We've got into those bad habits, and in society now, I think we've become so used to just getting whatever we want, whenever we want.
Yeah.
Whereas 100 years ago, it was breaking the fast rather than just the breakfast that I have every day as soon as I wake up, when actually your body probably doesn't need that at the moment.
Yeah, well, again, it depends on, because you're perhaps talking about fasting now, it depends on your age, male, female, and there's lots of things that can come into that break fast, which people can use to their advantage, but I wouldn't advise anybody doing fasting if they are going through a stressful time in their life, like, prepping for a wedding or a divorce or, moving house. You've got to, do what works for your body, haven't you? And, and sometimes finding what works for you can be the answer.
Let's move on to sort of exercise. So you can start explaining why movement, especially something maybe as simple as walking, can be effective for weight loss and overall health.
So for overall health, yes, definitely. For walking, you're going to have to walk a long way to burn any considerable fat. However, walking helps to balance hormones. So if you went for a walk after you had a meal, you would help your insulin levels. And it's when insulin is high, that's when you store fat. That's when the food that you've eaten goes into your cells as fat. So the walking exercise, let's say, walking as exercise maybe doesn't help you burn fat, but walking helps you balance your hormones, which in long term will help you with your health and maybe burn fat. So it's looking at it from all different viewpoints. And of course, walking has so many other benefits. There is a load of research going on at the moment about walking. Like, for instance, it's the rhythm of your feet hitting the floor, which has such health benefits to your brain. Now, and perhaps you can answer this question for me. If it's the rhythm of your feet, why? Because I found if you've got your thingies in your ears, it's not as good. But if you've got rhythm from music, but that doesn't work. It's got to be, according to the scientists, it's got to be the rhythm from your feet that is having the benefit. And then, of course, there's the benefit of trees and things going past your retinas. Again, that has a great benefit to your brain. And, of course, if your brain feels better, then you're going to make better food choices, aren't you? Yeah. So it's a great form of movement, which gives you health benefits. But sometimes the word exercise, it sort of sends us down another rabbit hole. What is exercise? What is aerobic exercise? What is Pilates? At the end of the day, the human body is meant to move. And of course, we started walking and then running. And men are more built for running than women. Oh, yeah, that's another topic. Yeah. I don't know if that answers your question. But, walking is good. Walking is really good. But for significant fat loss for a man of your age, there are other ways he can be doing it that might work quicker for him if that's what he wants.
I think that's what this podcast is about. So we obviously set this up and said, we want to talk about this. And you're the expert here. Me and Mark we're rubbish with this.
We found a way to lose weight each, and we've done it in a different way.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
So I'm really curious to know. Okay, walking is good for the benefits that you've said.
Yeah.
What's the best? What in your view? What's the best way if you want to go around losing weight? You perhaps started eating healthier, like we've just discussed.
Yeah.
But now you want to start doing some
strength training. Strength training burns 12 calories a minute. You cannot run that fast to burn 12 calories a minute.
Okay.
But also think of it like this. So you've got a normal car and it burns petrol. And then you've got a sports car, a Porsche, burns loads of petrol, that souped up engine. And then you've got the Prius, that has been tweaked to go a long way on not much. Strength training turns you from that Ford Fiesta into the Porsche. So that if you are sat doing a podcast, or you are running, or you are walking, you will burn more calories or you will burn more fuel because you are a Porsche. You don't want to be a Prius. Yeah. You don't want to be a Prius because Prius can go a long way on a little bit of fuel. Strength training turns you into that Porsche so that whatever you do, you are burning fuel at a higher rate. And of course, it has a knock-on effect. There's a thing called post-calorie afterburn, which it means that if you've done some strength training and then you're sat down all afternoon at your computer, it can carry on after you finish your workout. Now, you can go for a long, long walk. When you stop that walk, it stops. But if you strength train afterwards, and it will happen longer for men than women, and some people, it can last 24, 48 hours, others not so long. But it carries on burning after you've stopped. The other way you do that is to get your heart rate right up to the top and then bring it down again, which is HIIT training. That's why a lot of people get a lot of results from HIIT training. And it's that post-calorie afterburn, not what you're burning then, it's what happens after. And what happens that night when you go to sleep, because that's when you burn the fat when you're asleep. So that's the other thing you need to think about, especially shift workers, sleep. If you're getting disturbed sleep, you're not sleeping enough, that will also be inhibiting your fat loss. So weight training and lots of sleep.
Lots of sleep. Okay. And so if the two are connected, is it better to do sort of weight training in the early part of the day, later in the day? I've heard sort of contrasting sort of views on that. A lot of people sort of will come home after work and go to the gym, or come home, have dinner, then go to the gym, and then hear other people getting up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym then. What would be your recommendation?
I would recommend doing what suits you. There's been a lot of research on this, like you say, and some people have found doing it in the morning works for them. Some people have found, it's great to de-stress after work, and it works for them. You've got to genetically what works for you. Again, women are different species. It'll work differently for them, and maybe as you get older as well, it turns out that a different time works for you. So play around with it. Find what works for you. Again, if you're in a stressful job, stressful situation, I wouldn't recommend training on an empty stomach. There is a lot of research about fasting, and it can work for a lot of people, and training on an empty stomach, and some people can do it, and some people will get the shakes and the jitters because their blood sugar's dropped. And of course, if your blood sugar's low, you're not going to burn fat. So again, if you can, fine, but a lot of people can't. And so you don't want to be pushing your boundaries. Find out what works for you genetically, and then tweak it around that. And of course, as well, the demands on your day. You might not be able to work out in the evening because you've got to be home to look after the kids. So you're going to have to do mornings. So again, what suits your lifestyle, what you can fit in, rather than getting stressed out about, well, I've got to go to the gym, so, you're going to have to look after the kids. There's got to be some give and take in there, isn't there? And of course, you can weight train at home. You don't have to pay for a gym membership. You can, get some kit for in the garden or in the garage, or resistance bands. They take up, how much room do they take? Oh, maybe 4 inches by a circumference of 2 inches. And they're a brilliant piece of kit.
Okay. And so can you give us some good examples of sort of strength training and sort of things that guys should focus on?
What, if he wants to look good or if he wants to burn fat?
Burn fat.
Burn fat. So big muscles. Work the big ones because they're going to burn more. So we're talking legs.
Legs, yeah.
Yeah, legs. And men have more muscles in their upper body, so they can do, upper body stuff. Women don't have so much. That's why they struggle with it. But, if you want to look good, wide shoulders, small waist, I say look good. If you feel that looks good and that's how you want to look, then you might want to work your upper body as well. But the bigger muscles, legs, quads, hamstrings, glutes, work them. And from a posture point of view, make sure you're in the correct form. Otherwise, you're going to hurt yourself. Which will put you off again, won't it? And put you back. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And something you said there as well, I think, I'm sure that the benefits between morning and evening and that sort of stuff are actually quite small. Whereas if you find a routine that works for you, you're probably going to be consistent, and doing it whatever time of day you're doing, it's always going to be.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got meetings at work and you usually work out at lunchtime and the boss throws a meeting in, you can't do it. But you can maybe do it in the evening. And I'm a great one for work smarter, not longer. I mean, all the things I told you that I do. I've got a busy life, but I still manage to train. And sometimes it's only maybe for 10 minutes. So you work smarter, not longer or harder on the days when you need to. Yeah, there are days when you might like a really leisurely workout. But often, at that time of your life, if you've got young children, teenage children, you've got a lot more pressures on your life, on your time. And so, smarter, not longer or harder. Unless, of course, you're using it being in the gym as an excuse not to go home and have to deal with the kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what about though? Because I think at the beginning of this, I said that I got onto the HIIT training, and then I think I was only a few months in. I just got into that good mindset, eating healthy, working out, and I don't know if you remember, but I come to you in a bit of a panic because I was so worried about going back. I was doing, do you know when you start to see the results, you start to feel so much better in yourself. You're doing the training, you're eating healthy, you're finally sort of getting yourself there, and then all of a sudden you can barely move because your back's hurting. And the first thing that went through my head was, oh my God, I'm going to fall back into bad habits. This will be the end of it. And I remember I come to see you, and like I said, you got me back in the gym quite quickly. But I suppose that makes me think how the problem with weight training, I wonder, is you've got to do it the right way, right?
Yeah, technique and posture, and don't necessarily be led by your mate in the gym just because he's been doing it for years. And maybe he has got good form and he has got good technique, but perhaps he hasn't. If you've been sat at a computer all day, you will start to come forward. If then you go into the gym and train in that position, then you're going to be out of form. And if you've been like that for a long time, your brain thinks that you are right, and I say, shoulders back and down. And people say to me, I am. And so I said, well, look in the mirror. Yeah. And even I look in the mirror. I mean, last night I was teaching Pilates and I did a move and I glanced at myself and my hips weren't level. Even I have to look in the mirror. You get your brain gets fixed and you think you're doing it right. So check yourself in the mirror. Make sure your shoulders in a good position. Make sure you're using the muscle groups that you want to work. Because of our lifestyles, we have become what they call frontline dominant. We use the front of our bodies too much. And it's the back that, our glutes, our hamstrings, and our glutes are our lower back muscles. So you need to be making sure you are doing it correctly, whether that's, you could use a personal trainer, you could just look in the mirror and look at yourself and maybe slow it down, see what you're doing, and then, and don't load it up too soon. Don't go testosterone, guys. Testosterone has got a lot to answer for. So don't think, don't go, look at me, look at these heavy weights. If that means you lose your form, come down, check yourself, and then you can always push it up. Like you're saying, what's the point in doing too much too soon or bad form, hurting yourself, putting you back? It would be better to perhaps be just that bit lighter, get your technique, and then start to push it up when you know you've got good form and technique.
If you have a bad form, do you... and I appreciate we don't want to injure ourselves, and that's probably the main concern. If you get bad form, do you burn as much, or do you have as much success? Can you still sort of grow that muscle in the same way, but you're just more likely to injury?
You'll be building up the wrong muscle, and also biomechanically, your body isn't functioning at its optimum. So, and for an example, you drop forward, say your posture's all forward, and you're having trouble with your digestion because everything's been squished. So you need to lift up and open up just for digestion point, and then you think, well, I'm not, it's all these healthy foods that have given me a bad stomach. I'm going to go back to all the crap. I felt I was better. Maybe you just need to lift up, give some space. And of course, breathing plays a big role in so many things. But I would say you are going to build more muscle if you're in the right form. Yeah.
And so if strength training is the sort of key exercise for fat loss, how long should we spend at a time, and how regular, sort of like over a week?
Well, again, it depends how hard you're working. If you're working hard, you don't need to do it so much. Yeah. If you're doing it just for your joints and muscles and general health, then you can do it less heavy and you do it more often. I mean, American Council of Sports Medicine say strength training 3 times a week, but that's for general health. If you want to bump your metabolic rate up, then, you would perhaps do it more often, or you would do it heavier. Of course, you need your rest days. It's your rest days when you grow stronger. With good nutrition, good rest, then you will grow stronger. And there are also the scientific research is coming out that for every beasting workout you should have 2 recovery workouts. So, if you've had a really hard workout, the next day, perhaps walk, great recovery, or do some gentle Pilates. Notice I didn't say Pilates because if you do Pilates properly, it is flipping hard work. So gentle Pilates, or, just a recovery session, maybe even lightweight, or doing what you've been doing without the weights. And maybe then it's brain training, isn't it? So,
do you think a lot of guys look at Pilates? Because I know I used to, I don't now, but used to look at Pilates. I think that's for girls.
Yeah, look at the videos on YouTube of Joseph Pilates teaching Pilates. It is not what you think it is if you teach like Joseph taught Pilates. And yeah, as it's evolved, it's become adopted by dancers and, people who do more fluid type movement. And yes, Joseph Pilates wanted you to do it fluid. He wanted you to be in good form. But the videos are of him running through the woods, lay down, do press-ups. It's not what we think of as Pilates. And if you do it correctly, it is hard work. There are some easier exercises, but if you starting to do the harder versions, it is hard work. And of course, footballers now are realizing the benefits of Pilates. Anybody, take golfers now, professional golfers are doing Pilates. And, it can help with your training. It can help rebalance your body so that when you do other training, you are functioning more like you should be. And it's about form and technique. It helps you to get in good form and technique for everything else that you're doing. And I mean, he stole from yoga, but he also stole from Greek wrestling. Now, Greek wrestling, would you say that's girly? Yeah. All he did was slow the movement down. He looked at the movement, the wrestling move. I can't remember the name of it. And then he slowed it down so that people would do it correctly. And of course, a slow exercise can be a lot harder.
Stuff. And then, we were going to talk about being more active. And that was our plan. But obviously, we like to go off and get your views. And it's really interesting what you're saying about the weight. So just to recap what we've said so far, though, we've got, if you want to lose weight, if we're honest, then for guys, weight training is definitely the way to go.
And remember, you can use your own body weight for weight training. So that's without buying any equipment at all. Use your own body weight. Press-ups, Press-ups, which is the Pilates plank and chest press. Yeah.
But there is, I think there's, but then there is also still a place for walking, like you said, the mental health benefits.
Yes, so many benefits.
And I suppose although you're burning perhaps not enough calories to lose the weight, would you say you're stretching off a bit? It's still
yeah,
burning?
it's a good recovery exercise. It's a good exercise for many, many things. But, it's movement at the end of the day, and we should be moving. We should be moving in our everyday lives, not getting in the car to go to the corner shop, which is 100 yards away. Walking and movement should be in our everyday lives. It's just that we've lost it. And yeah, it's lovely to go for a walk. I mean, I've increased my walking because I've realised it improves my running. So, I walk to improve my running. But yeah, it does burn calories. And if you can't do anything else because you might have a heart issue, high blood pressure, because of the weight that you're carrying or other health issues, and that's the only thing you can do, then yeah, do it. It's good movement. But once you can do other things, then yeah, get into it.
And so someone with a sort of busy schedule, what tips would you give them to make sure they stay active throughout the day? I mean, it's easy to make excuses. I'm too busy to go for a 5-minute walk, which sounds ridiculous, but we kid ourselves every day with these kind of things. So what tips would you give?
So 5 minutes every hour, stand up, stretch your pecs because you're humped over that computer. So stretch your pecs, get everything back into its natural length and position, or its best position. And then for the next 10, 20 minutes, you might sit well, and then it'll start to creep back again. So then you stretch your pecs again, just to keep reminding yourself. And again, the scientific research has come out. They've done research on people that sit at computers all day, go to the gym 3 times a week, but they sit down all day, all the time. Then these people, they had them stand up every hour, and for 5 minutes, they walk around the office, or they put the radio on, had a little dance at it. Yeah. And they found that those 5 minutes every hour had more benefits than 3 times a week in the gym. Now, I'm not saying don't go to the gym 3 times a week. That's great. What I'm saying is don't sit down for how many hours? Get up. Perhaps get a standing desk, and they're not the be all and end all. Make sure you're standing properly at the desk. I've done some assessments on a few people now that have bought a standing desk. And again, they thought they were standing correctly. But yeah, if you get yourself a standing desk, you can go up, down. Again, you don't want to be standing all day. So stand up, sit down, 1 hour one, 1 hour another. And say just every hour, get up and move, whether it's to the kettle or to the tap to get some more fresh water, put the radio on, have a little stretch, rotations. They are absolutely wonderful for you and wonderful for your spine and your discs and pumping fluid everywhere. So yeah, just little bits throughout the day. When you do perhaps go to the bathroom, go upstairs, use the upstairs bathroom. Stairs are fabulous. If you work in an office, use the bathroom that's furthest away from you, that you've got to go to the other side of the building and up the stairs.
I used to do that to kill time in my old job.
Yeah, well, it kills time. Yeah. It gets you. It helps your eyes because you're not staring at that screen. Yeah. It gives your eyes a rest. It gives your brain a rest. It gives your legs a bit of movement. And yeah, so just build bits in throughout your day, but do it. Even, I mean, I know some people set an alarm on their phone, and there's these watches now that tell you.
Remind you now, don't they? I sit there, if I'm sat on the sofa for like 3 hours watching sort of Netflix of an evening,
it'll tell you to move.
Time to stand up.
Yeah. I'm afraid I can't sit still for long periods of time, so my body says, move. Otherwise I stiffen up. So, and I mean, I'm a lot older than you guys, so, got to keep moving. Move it or lose it.
I think that stiffening up is a good point. It reminds me of something we were talking about earlier. When you're first at the gym, when you're going and doing the weights, you can get rid of abdomens, can't you? It's a horrible feeling if you get it quite badly, isn't it? It's quite debilitating. It can affect your work as well. Yeah. How do you what can you do to sort of mitigate that?
So do a good cool down, and that's what a lot of people neglect, especially men. They'll do loads of weights and then they'll walk out the door and that's it. You need your cool down. And as you get older, that cool down is very, very important. So you will push fluid round, you'll get rid of the lactic acid, which they think causes DOMS. So little movements and then possibly stretching. Again, people use the word stretching, maybe not to what they actually mean, like we were talking about exercise earlier. So you can take your muscles back to their length and position by stretching them, putting them back where they were, pec stretch if you've been working your pecs, stretch the muscle groups that you've been working, but maybe do an easy stretch in and out to help that pump through as well. So, yeah, cool down. Use that cool down. And, of course, then the next day your recovery workout, which might be walking, might be dancing around the kitchen with the kids. It might be swimming. It might be something that's lighter, easier, not the same. So, yeah, don't neglect your cool down and your recovery workouts. And make sure you warm up properly as well, because that can affect DOMs. Mm.
And when you we talked about lighter and then harder exercise with the weights and stuff, and I think most people can do weights because, like you say, there's so many ways to do it. I know you can use body weight, but if you're really heavy, so I think at my heaviest I got up to nearly 23 stone. Lighter exercise then, is that like, because I always thought to myself, when I was 6.5 stone heavier than what I am now, if I just went for a walk and walked a mile, that surely has a much better calorie burning effect than what it would if I did it now 6.5 stone lighter. Is that right? Because
you're saying you're carrying all that extra weight. Well, yeah, it's got to. It's just basic physics, isn't it? Mm. If you're carrying that weight, but it's then what did you do when you came home? What did you put in your mouth? Because we again, going back to the rewards, we go in the gym and we work out, and then they come out and people reward themselves with a latte and a croissant. That latte and croissant has probably got more calories in it than you burnt in the gym. You don't realise, or you think you've burnt hundreds of calories and now you deserve a little treat. But in actual fact, you haven't burnt that much. I know it's depressing. It is depressing. But yeah, you don't. You don't. And you've got to be consistent, but you need to get that body to be that Porsche so that when you walk, whatever you do, it's at a high level, and give that Porsche best quality petrol to keep that engine healthy. Otherwise, that engine will clog up just like a Prius engine would if it was given, good quality. But if that's all you can do because of your health condition, then do walk, because it is good for you and it will help. Everything will help.
What's the best result you've had? Because I know you've been doing this a long time. Like I said, we fast back 15, 16 years ago now. So is there a client that you want to talk about where they've come in, they're quite big, ideally male, bearing in mind this is a podcast for men, but where they've come in and you've really managed to get the results, and what sort of process worked?
I think probably the best one was somebody who was extremely kyphotic. So he was hunched over, and he was a gym member, and he came to me because he wanted to, get fitter. And I said to him, can I fix your upper back for you? And he said, well, can you? And I said, well, yeah. And it was back before we had pictures on our phones, so I can't show you it, but I did take pictures of him and I've got them printed out because it was such a long time ago. But as he lifted up, he had to buy new clothes because they didn't fit him anymore. He didn't necessarily lose a lot of weight because he lost fat and his body shape changed. And what was the best thing was he was no longer kyphotic and hunched over. He was tall. He got himself a new girlfriend, and the ladies in the office started to notice him and chat to him. So his character changed as well, because he went from being this, shy guy who just did his work on the computer, he became more confident, and of course he didn't have the back issues that he had from being humped over.
That's fantastic.
So just to recap, we started this episode, like we said, me and Mark sort of wanted to do one about just be more active, and that will help you. And I'm really glad that we had you on, because I think it's been really valuable. Well, look, it will help you, but it's not going to help you as much as you perhaps want it to.
Yeah.
And I think as well, nearly every guy I know enjoys weights more than cardio. So
Yeah.
it's been a really interesting for that. And I'm sure there is a place for cardio. But what we're saying is that if you want to lose weight.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there is definitely a place for cardio, but if you're doing some heavy weights, you're going to get out of breath anyway. I get out of breath doing my weights. So, yeah, you are doing cardio. And, some people like long cardio, but it's if you can do a mixture of everything, and then that has a knock-on effect to so many other things, like you're saying about mental health and, so many other things. But if people don't like weights, they can still do it if they prefer to run. But you asked me which, and I was just going on how many calories per hour.
Yeah. And I think if you're generally quite big, I think your priority probably is to do as much as you can and get the results.
Yeah, and we all want to see results, don't we?
Yeah.
So you might get more results quicker. But yeah, think about that knife and fork.
I guess if you're a 23 stone guy, I guess it's probably easier to do weight training than it would be to run, just with pressure on joints.
Exactly, yeah.
And I know when I was at my biggest, how hard it was to just get running, and probably felt quite in the gym, quite self-conscious about that fact. Where I think I then did start to do a bit more weight training, and I did feel more comfortable in that sort of environment. And it's something that I could sort of get on board with much more easily than feel like I'm slogging my guts out running on a treadmill and maybe not getting or as much benefit, or maybe the same benefit as lifting weights for a similar amount of time. And so I think as a way in, it's probably...
Is that how you did it?
No, I went on a specialist diet. That's how I lost my weight.
Okay.
But I kind of, again, that was all came down to the fact I felt that I was too big to run, and so I thought if I lose the weight, it's going to be easier to then run when I've lost the weight.
Yeah.
And so I'm now getting to that stage where I'm going to start integrating a fitness plan. And so I'm glad that I spoke to you today, because it's like, well, which way do I go with this? Do I just start running, or do I just really sort of go in on the weight training? So it's food for thought.
Well, you could do both. You could do both.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's me and Mark do Man vs. Fat together, which is like a football thing. And that's one of the things that I'm sure that you'll agree with, is that I think if you have a genuine interest in something, and for me and Mark, that's football. Yeah. Join a football club.
So you're going to do football, aren't you? Yeah, and enjoy it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And do the one that you enjoy, because you're going to stick with it. But that could be, your recovery, or it could be your social, because you're enjoying it. So again, we are meant to do these kind of things, and you're getting double benefit out of your football, because you're active, but you're getting so much more, aren't you? And coordination training, which Pilates will help you, and everything. Yeah.
Fantastic. So I guess one question sort of before we start to wrap up is, so if you were working with a 23 stone guy, what's the first bit of advice you'd give him to sort of start making a change today?
Write everything down. What you're putting in your mouth. So food diary, what time you get up in the morning, what you eat, what time you eat it. You can put your exercise in it then as well if you want to. You can put how you feel after eating certain foods. You can write your moods down, whatever you want. Write it down, because then you can see it. And, because, we all do it. You might go in the kitchen and you'll pick at something, or the kids leave something on their plate. If you write everything down, you can see. And you might also see a food that you're not reacting very well to, which might be upsetting your stomach, which is slowing down your training or slowing down your weight loss. But if you can see it, and, and look back and think, oh, I didn't lose any weight the week I did such and such. Well, look back that week. Oh, yeah, I had a day when I really ate a lot, and it's obviously inhibited my fat loss for the week. Or alcohol. I had so many beers that weekend. Yeah, and there's going to be times when, you're on a stag do, you're on holiday. You don't want to be saying, I'm not drinking alcohol then, yeah, there are times, but there are a lot of people that will drink alcohol every evening. So write it down, see if there's a pattern, but also it keeps you honest with yourself. And and you can write down a meal that you really enjoyed and, a recipe, and you can come back to it. That worked really well. I had a really good training session after I ate that, or I felt I had a really good night's sleep after I ate that, because you can see if your blood sugar's balanced. Blood sugar balance is very, very important. So you can see. So that would be my biggest thing. And if you want to know the stats, they say you are 20%. You are 20%. You will lose 20% more if you write things down.
I suppose it's just
pen and paper out.
Yeah, I suppose it's just that accountability. Isn't
Exactly,
it?
accountability. That was the word I was looking for. And I said, be honest with yourself. Yeah, it makes you accountable. You can go to a little group, different slimming groups, and it just makes you accountable. But be accountable to yourself. Write it down. Buy yourself a nice notebook and a really nice pen. That's your treat, not having a glass of lager. So, and if that's your thing, if you just want to write it on a scrap of paper, fine. But, I find getting a nice book, put the date, write it all down, nice pen, just 5 minutes to yourself. You can, some people do it on their phones, and you can get apps to do it on your phones. But there is a lot to be said, again, scientific research, of actually writing with a pen, what it does to your brain. And
it sticks in there more, doesn't it?
It sticks in there more, yeah.
I remember it from my university days. A-levels and that, and just when I was doing my revision, I just literally rewrote my notes. I had the notes in front of me, I read them, and I rewrote them, and it just stuck in there so much more.
I agree with you 100%. I had my best exam results after 40, and I realised that was what was working. I would make notes on my notes, condense it, make notes on my notes. Yeah. And it works. Yeah.
I think it's been great. I think it's been really good. I think a really good episode. And I think a lot of people will find it quite helpful.
Well, we've only just scratched the surface. Yeah. I mean, we can go in depth into different types of exercises. We can do blood sugar levels. We can do different ages. We can do male. Well, you don't want to do female, but might be nice actually. How to be supportive to your partner.
There's an episode idea right there.
Yeah.
I'll get that. I'll add it to the list.
I think I'd love to have you back on. At some point, because I think you're right. I think there's so many avenues we could have gone down there, and I feel like what we've done is we've covered little bits of everything, which actually for a new podcast I think is really helpful.
Yeah.
But I think we'll definitely maybe have you back on at some point soon, but we'll focus on one of the areas that we've discussed today. Thank you, Judith, and
you're welcome.
Just any last words of encouragement for middle-aged men looking to shift?
Middle-aged men, try and give up the alcohol. I know it's hard, but it'll get easier. And then try to eat healthier. And I promise you, it will get easier. It will be hard at first. Think about what you're aiming for. And it will be hard at first, but it will get easier. And that's what you got to think of. It's going to get easier. And then once it starts to be easy, stick with it. Yeah, the days that you're going to fall off the wagon, just get back on the wagon. You don't have to beat yourself up about it. Just get back on it.
Brilliant. And how can people find out about yourself?
Judith Barrass Sports Therapy. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. And my website is judithbarrass.co.uk. You can message me on any of the platforms. There are some videos on Judith Barrass Sports Therapy. Oh, there's also some videos on YouTube on there's 10 steps for fat loss, and there's one on posture. So, Google me. Surely I'll pop up and, see what you think. And then you can perhaps message me if you're interested in more.
So that's the end of Judith's episode, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I thought that was really good, mate. What do you think?
I really enjoyed that. She's quite a character, and she knows her stuff. I think that was the thing that really sort of came away from it. And while we wanted to go in and talk about walking, Judith had other ideas, didn't she?
Yeah, and to be fair, mate, that's what I think this is all about. Look, I think it's quite clear talking to Judith. She doesn't take time to think about her answers. She knows her shit, right?
She does.
So she's very quick to say this, and it's very clear to me that she's very knowledgeable about what she knows. She's kind of, she's dedicated her life to fitness, health, and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, it went way off track for what we thought it was going to be. But fair play to her. I think what she said makes perfect sense. She explained it. She explained why.
Yeah.
We covered so much there. I think we'll probably get her back on in the future as a speaker again to discuss a certain part of that.
Definitely.
But very knowledgeable. I hope you guys at home have found it helpful.
Yeah, I really liked the just the fact I hadn't really given much thought to weight training. I've done a bit in the past, but her feeling is that, and her belief is that weight training is the best exercise you can do for fat loss, which is what we're here. And you know what? I'd much rather lift some weights than sort of run on a tread. Yeah, I would. Yeah. I really would.
Couch to 5K. Fuck that, mate.
Yeah, just get in and lift some weights, lads. That's what we're here for. So,
the boy stuff. Yeah, and obviously there's people out there, certainly with cost of living crisis, that haven't got a lot of money, don't want to go and spend God knows money. And like she said, you've got a garden, you can do body weights, anyone can start. Budget isn't an issue. We'll post some links in below from Judith around her website. I think she said on her YouTube she's got 10 ways to start working out for fat people.
Yeah.
So we'll stick that in the show notes. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and check us out on social media. Take care.
Thanks, guys.